Welcome to the Betting Above the Rim podcast. Today's date, August 27th, episode 81. In today's podcast, we get into a bunch of topics. First off, with 4 games being played in the WNBA on Wednesday, we'll give a preview of all 4, which is Connecticut taking on the Indiana Fever, Mystics at the Chicago Sky, the New York Liberty at the LA Sparks, and then running out all the games, the Atlanta Dream at the Seattle Storm. Next, we'll head to the NBA. As we go through our preview of NBA teams, we'll preview the 3 teams with the letter C. That'll be the Chicago Bulls. We'll look at their over-under win total, maybe look at any odds that we like. Hint, hint, Zealous. Next, we'll head to the Charlotte Hornets, a team that the win total is at 30.5. Interesting enough, we'll get into what I think about Charlotte and Tijan Salam, if I think he could make a play for Rookie of the Year. And then lastly, we'll go to a team that you guys know I'm very excited about, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers, simply put, because I love the addition of Kenny Atkinson. Let's get started in the W, as the first game tipping off Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is the Connecticut Sun at the Indiana Fever. Folks, make sure when you watch or listen to this podcast, you get the current lines, because this is being recorded on Tuesday evening. These lines already moved from Tuesday morning to now, so they may move again. Connecticut right now is sitting as a 3-point favorite, minus 152 on the money line, plus 124 for the Indiana Fever, with an over-under of 164.5. And when you look at the head-to-head matchup between these two teams have played, I do believe, 3 times already this year. Connecticut has won all 3. 2 of them were in big blowouts, but the one game at Indiana, it was an 88-84 Connecticut win. The line was 4, and it was a push. The 2 of the 3 games, if you think about the games, with the over-under being 164.5, it's important to look at this. Okay? The games went 161, 172, 163. Okay? Here is why I like the under in the matchup. If you look at Connecticut as of late, take away their 109 points they scored in the first game out of the All-Star break, the first game since Marina Mabrey put on a Connecticut Sun uniform. 70, 69, 82, 72. They're struggling to score. So there's a couple of ways you can look at it. You can look at the over 164.5, or under 164.5, I should say. Or you could honestly just look at the team total. What do we think we're going to get out of a team in Connecticut who struggles to score and struggles to score mightily? That's something that you may want to take a look at. A good other mark that's going on right now is 3-point leaders in the game on FanDuel. Right now, the odds-on favorite is Caitlin Clark at plus 135. Kelsey Mitchell's at 2-1. Marina Mabrey's plus 290. DeWanna Bonner is 9-1. So that is another market that I think you may want to look at here as a way of where can I find some kind of plus money, right? So if you look at opponent 3-pointers made, okay, the Connecticut Sun give up the least 3-pointers made in the entire season, 6.1. Who gives up the second worst 3-pointers made? It's Indiana. If you look at opponents' 3-point shots attempted, Connecticut gives up the least at 20.1. Indiana Fever, 24.9, 11. And if you look at 3-point shooting percentage defense, the Indiana Fever is 10th. And then you look at a team like the Connecticut Sun, and they're second. So with all of that being said, who could we look at as someone that could hit and be the three-point leader, it's Marina Mabrey. Because of the fact that Indiana does not defend well, the fact that Marina should get the shots. Remember, they brought her off the bench last game. So Marina should get the three-point shot attempts because I think they're going to crowd the line for Caitlin Clark and they're going to take away the three because they've done it all year. So if you look at the three-point attempts that she's had with Connecticut, 5, 7, 4, 10, 5. Okay? If you look at the three-point attempts she's had versus Indiana over the course of the year, okay? She had a 2 for 6 game in June, and then she also had a 3 for 6 game, 2 for 7 game, I should say, also. So she's going to get the shot attempts. I don't trust DeWanna Bonner. I think Marina's job is to knock down shots. So if you're looking for a play here in regards to a prop, Marina Mabrey plus 290 to be the three-point made leader in the matchup. Remember, folks, all these lines are coming from FanDuel. If you're going to look at anything else, I still think, and it's not out, look out tomorrow morning. Look and see what is the total points for Connecticut and look to play under. Because I still think they struggle to make threes, except for Mabrey. Moving on to the Washington Mystics at the Chicago Sky. Washington Mystics are plus 104 on the money line, minus 118 for the Chicago Sky. Team total minus over under 159. Sorry, folks, really quick. And this is on me explaining it when talking to Matt about it. It's minus 118 on the money line for the Mystics, minus 104 for the Chicago Sky, and it's flipped. The Mystics are the favorites. And I'm not surprised by this, folks, because I think the Washington Mystics are playing really good basketball. I talked about it last night on Game Time Decisions. I thought this team is starting to play much better. And I think they're a team that after going 0-12 has become a little bit of a thorn on the side of other teams. When you look at, as of late, the Mystics have won their last 2 games. They won at Seattle. They won home versus LA. And they're playing really good basketball. Chicago had that heartbreaking loss, 77-75. But they've also lost their last 3 games, 4 out of the last 5. It's amazing that a team that started out as bad as Washington, I'm willing to take Washington, and I will take them on the money line. I will take Washington on the money line. Right now, that's minus 118. 118, Washington Mystics will get the win there. Now, when you start looking at double market, you ain't touching that with Angel Reese at minus 550. So then you got to kind of look at, okay, well, let's look at Angel Reese's rebounding prop. Folks, it's 14.5, and it's been a lot to say about Angel Reese in regards to whether she's going to be able to score because she's struggled mightily with that. But when you talk about giving up rebounds, the Washington Mystics give up the 7th most rebounds in the WNBA, okay? But they also give up the 2nd least amount of O boards. It's very easy for me to sit here and say, go take the under with Angel Reese. I can't do that. This team is number 1 in the WNBA in rebounding percentage versus the number 10 team in Washington. The reason why Washington's rebounding numbers giving up for opponents are so low is because of the pace they play. It don't matter. The best rebounding team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They secure 52.1% of the rebounds. Okay? If you look at offensive rebounding percentage, they are number 1 at 34.8%. When you look at defensive rebounding percentage, you have watched it at 7th, or 8th, I should say. Angel Reese over 14.5 rebounds. I said this weeks ago that she was going to lead the WNBA in rebounding. And folks, like it or not, she is starting to run away with this a little bit. If you just look at Angel Reese coming into the game, scoring at 13.5 points, 12.9 rebounds, and the game since the Olympic break, 15, 11, 20, 20, 22. Angel Reese over 14.5 rebounds. Washington Mystics on the money line minus 118 to get the job done. Next, we're going to head to LA, where the New York Liberty take on the Los Angeles Sparks. The New York Liberty are minus 12.5 point favorites. Over under of 163.5. And when you look at this New York Liberty team, they did exactly what I thought they were going to do after their performance versus the Connecticut Sun. They were going to score more, and they were going to play much better in an 84-70 win that took place last night. When you look at the Liberty, folks, there could be a little bit concerned about their offensive play. Only 84 points versus Phoenix, 64-79. But here's the key. They were missing Sabrina Ionescu for 2 of those 3 games. In the third game, two of the games, the 2 Dallas games. She came back for the Connecticut game, did not play well, shoot the ball well in the first half, played better in the second half versus Phoenix. Head-to-head, they've already played once, and the Liberty won 103-68. Why the hell do I think that's not going to happen again? And that was the first game out of the Olympic break. So as long as Saab plays and Benaja Laney Hamilton plays, who came off the bench, Feuerbach has done a good job going into the starting lineup for Laney Hamilton. I will absolutely think that the New York Liberty, as a 12.5 point favorite, will get it done. Here is the thing, folks. The Liberty covers spreads on the road. They struggle to cover spreads at home. Take the New York Liberty minus 12.5 in the matchup. And obviously, I'll be looking at, and I'll give the plays out tomorrow with that, probably looking at somewhere with Jonquel Jones, because the ability to keep Darica Hamby off the board. So we'll be looking at either a Jones or a Stewie double-double. That's something I'll get into tomorrow as we get a little bit closer to game time, just to let people know to get a double-double right now for either one of them. Actually, their props or their odds are not even out yet. Actually, I'm sorry, to make a double-double. Jonquel's plus 110, Stewie's plus 160. Darica Hamby's minus 110. I'm going to look at that. I'm probably going to look at Jonquel at plus 110 because she's got to keep Hamby off the boards. Fourth game of the night, or actually I think maybe the last game of the night if I'm not mistaken. Coach sometimes coach can't count. There's 2 more actually. Let's go to Atlanta at Seattle. I am such a big fan of the play of Ryan Howard. Right now, Seattle is a 7.5 point favorite. This is a Seattle Storm team that was a 7.5 point favorite last night. And you know what? The bad and lost at home to the Washington Mystics, although I did tell everyone that 10.5 number was way too high. So when you look at this matchup here, I am going to look at Tina Charles. Tina Charles just went second in the WNBA in all-time leading scoring. She had a double-double at plus 115. I know she missed it last night. That's something that I may look to play again because I think her ability to rebound the ball is pretty big. And then you look at a team like the Seattle Storm. They are in rebounding percentage. They are 7th in the WNBA in rebounding percentage versus 6th in the Atlanta Dream. Tina Charles is a really good offensive rebounder. And if you look at the defensive rebounding percentage, Seattle is 9th. So you could look at Tina Charles to get a double-double, or the other way I would look at it is just Tina Charles to get over her PRA. and just looking, or if you just want to get just points and rebounds, which they do have, PRA's not out. Points plus rebounds, Tina Charles is at 24.5. So that's something I would look at as Tina Charles to get possibly a double-double. But if you want to play it a little bit safer and look at her to get our points plus rebounds over, I would not blame you. Last game, Tina Charles went for 28 points and 8 rebounds. That is 36. She's averaging 14.4, 8.9. But the key is 36, 27, 29, 37. She is benefiting from Ryan Howard being back. And I think that's what happens, folks, sometimes is when a star player returns, everybody goes to their pecking order. Now you have to worry about it a little bit less. So I do love Tina Charles, points plus rebounds over at 24.5. Last game of the night is the Minnesota Lynx taking on the Phoenix Mercury. The Minnesota Lynx are right now a 3.5-point favorite, over under of 162. And just simply put with this matchup, I think you could argue legitimately that the Minnesota Lynx are the second best team in the WNBA. I know that Connecticut just beat New York, but at some point they were going to beat New York after losing the first 3 games. Minnesota shoots the ball extremely well. Do know, it was funny, I was talking with Kevin, well, a couple of days ago, or actually yesterday, and it was a wild thing that we did not bring up on air. Do you know 3 of the top 4 3-point shooting percentages in the WNBA all belong to the Minnesota Lynx? Going against a team whose defensive rating in the Phoenix Mercury is 9th. A team that, you know, when you look at what their opponents do, right? Opponents 3-point attempted, okay? Phoenix Mercury gives up the most 3-point attempts, right? Give the most 3-point attempts. They give the most made threes, and their percentage-wise, it's kind of low. It's in the middle, 33.1%. So if they're going to give up the most attempts, and they're playing a team with 3 out of the top 4 3-point shooters, that means you go right to the 3-point prop, and you start looking to see where can you make yourself a little bit of money. Now, I would go with Alana Smith to make 2+ made threes at plus 138. Now, you're saying, well, it's only 2, coaches. You're not asking a lot out of Alana Smith, right? Alana Smith, who scores 11 points a game, okay, who shoots the ball at 43.5% from 3. I think she's the leader out of the whole team. And then an Alana Smith that has made 2 plays. Now, she's gone a little cold. Okay, she's only hit it in 2 of the previous 5 games. But she's playing against a team that does not defend the 3-point line well. She has gotten 4 attempts off the first 2 games, or the last 2 games, versus Phoenix. So if I think she's getting 4 3-point attempts, or 5, she shoots her average of 43.5, she makes 2. Alana Smith, 2+ made threes, a plus 138. Minnesota Lynx on the money line, probably too much. Probably have to lay the 3.5 for the Minnesota Lynx. If you want to line it, maybe find it at 2.5, play it, get a little bit more juice, just because of the fact of maybe the foul game down the stretch. Let's move on to the NBA, where we'll preview 3 teams really quickly. First, the Chicago Bulls, last year with a record of 39-43. Their win total has been dropped to 28.5. Folks, listen to me. This makes sense. I personally think Chicago's going to go under 28.5. Okay? Number 1, their most effective offensive player, DeMar DeRozan, is in Sacramento. Number two, their second best offensive player, and Nikola Vucevic, who I think is going to get traded at some point. Their third best offensive player, and you can say maybe second, is Zach LaVine, and he don't want to be there. And Billy Donovan don't want him there either. So if I'm telling you the best offensive player, DeMar DeRozan's gone. Second best offensive player, Zach LaVine doesn't want to be there, probably can get traded if they get any kind of value for him. The third best offensive player is Nikola Vucevic. They're going to hand the keys over to Josh Giddey, who should be fantastic. It should be interesting. Kobe White had a great year. Like, what a year Kobe White had, and I think he'll put up stats because I think they're going to look at that Giddey and Kobe White backcourt. And then there's the whole Lonzo Ball thing, which we don't know if this guy's going to play again. Suppose he's playing pickup, he's playing, he's trying to do some things. If I'm Chicago, by the way, I'll be shocked if Billy Donovan makes it through this year. I was shocked he made it through last year. If I'm Chicago, I just gave Patrick Williams the bag. I'm looking at Patrick Williams. I'm looking at Kobe White. I'm looking at Josh Giddey. And I'm trying to get Zach LaVine up out of there because I want to start Matas Buzelis. And Buzelis is 10-1 to win Rookie of the Year. Hear me out. If Chicago is going to just dismantle this team and start over, and folks, I don't know why Chicago hasn't done it yet, but I'm praying that Chicago does it now. Okay? They just got to start over. They got to start over. If they do, that gives Buzelis more time. And I can see them using him as a point forward and allowing him to be an orchestrator, kind of a jack of all trades. I was very, very impressed with Buzelis in Summer League. I think he should be worthy of looking at it at 10-1 to win Rookie of the Year. Let's move on to the Charlotte Hornets. And when Matt pulled this up, I was like, wait, what? Win total of 30.5. And then I started thinking, right? Like, could this team be better? Think about this, folks. They have a higher win total than the Nets, higher win total than the Bulls. We're just going in the East. They have a higher win total than Detroit, right? I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Oh, definitely the Wizards. Definitely have the win. I think the Wizards are like one of the worst odds for wins. I think they're second. They're 20.5. Only the Nets have a worse one. Folks, I'm in on Charlotte. You know, wait, what did you just say? Yes, you heard me. I think Charlotte's going to go over 30.5 wins. Number one, I think you look at the East and you look at the standings, and where do I see regression? I think Detroit will be a little bit better. I think Washington's going to be terrible. I think Charlotte is going to be better than Toronto. And the Nets are awful. And I think the Bulls are going to be bad too. Wait a minute. Did I just think? Folks, I'm not going to say it yet. I can't go here yet. But I think they're going to go over their win total. Number one, I have to be honest. I love LaMelo. I know, what's the guy's name? Tim McMahon really trashed him, talking about like his shot selection and his defense. I think LaMelo's going to be better, just for the simple fact that I think I like Charles Lee as a head coach. I think Charles Lee is I think he should have got Milwaukee. And he did a good job of being a guy that went with Sam Cassell over to Boston on Joe Mazzulla's staff to be part of it, and they won a championship. By the way, I talked before, someone better hire Sam Cassell next year. He's got to be in that next group. But why am I big on LaMelo? I think he's dynamic, 24 points a game, 8 assists. Simply put, if he's going to be healthy, they're going to be better. All right? If he's going to be healthy, they're going to be better. And remember, folks, he only played last year, I think, 22 games. Only 36 games the year before. And then obviously 75, 30, and then 51 to start his career. If I can get 65 games out of LaMelo, and that's a big ask, I think they're going to be better. But it's more than LaMelo. It's the play of Brandon Miller, a guy that gonna be real with you, I did not know what we were going to get. But it's 17.3 points per game and an ability to shoot the ball from deep. And he shot 37%, which isn't awful. Hopefully he gets it up to like 39, 40% range, but I think he can. But to me, his ability to just drive and was far more athletic than I gave him credit for. I think he takes the next step. I've always been a big Miles Bridges guy. He is a freak of goddamn nature. A guy at 6'7" can give you 21.7 rebounds a game. Needs to shoot a little bit better from three. But if you tell me my core three is LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Miles Bridges, I think that's a lot better than people realize. Obviously the depth in the interior is what you're concerned about. As long as Mark Williams, I think Nick Richards will get traded. I think he's trade bait. Mark Williams has the ability to be a double-double guy. Grant Williams on that second unit with a guy like Trey Mann, who they got from Oklahoma City. And I think also the addition of Josh Green. Josh Green had scored about 8.2 points per game for Dallas last year. I think that's going to be a better team than you think. I'm going to take over 30.5 wins for the Charlotte Hornets. And I'm going to take Charlotte Hornets at plus 140, not to make the playoffs, but to make the play-in. I think they make the play-in. I think they're the team in the East that makes a jump that no one talks about. Charles Lee's a better coach. They'll be better, a year older, a year wiser. Hopefully LaMelo stays healthy. But one thing I will not take is Tijan Salam to win Rookie of the Year to 35-1. Simply put, his odds are because of where are his minutes going to come from, right? Like where is Tijan going to find his minutes in Charlotte? Right? He's a small forward / power forward, right? Brandon Miller, if they go Trey Mann off the bench, they can put Brandon Miller as a 3. So you have Miller, Josh Green, Miles Bridges, Cody Martin, Grant Williams. All of them could be, some combination of a 3 or 4. I think Tijan Salam is going to be a project. I kind of wonder why they took him here. To be honest with you, I thought this was one of the places where you could have gotten someone to jump to go get Donovan Clingan. Hint. The Grizzlies. So I didn't understand Salam, especially at 6, and I'm definitely not taking him at 35-1 to win Rookie of the Year. Last team to talk about tonight, Cleveland Cavs. Over on their win total of 48.5. Odds to make the playoffs minus 900. They will absolutely do it. And obviously the odds to win the Eastern Conference are 20-1. Folks, I'm all in on Cleveland. Why? Y'all know where I'm going with this. They gave Kenny Atkinson the job. I ain't go front. Y'all know how I feel about Kenny Atkinson, what he did with the Nets in regard to the development of D'Angelo Russell, of Karis LeVert, of Jared Allen. Oh, wait, two of those guys are with him now. The player Spencer Dinwiddie, his development. And then you look at what he did particularly for Jonathan Kuminga. Kenny Atkinson is one of the best skill development coaches and has an ability to get young guys to develop faster than people think. So when you look at Cleveland, right, and you look at, okay, I did say between Garland and Donovan, someone's got to go. I did say between Mobley and Allen, someone's got to go. I'm still thinking it still may happen. But if you look at this team and you look at the standings in the NBA, we are asking for 48.5 wins. They got 48 last year. They got 51 the year before that. 21-22, they got 44. So if they could be on par with what they were the last 2 years, they're going to hit this number. They're better. Because Kenny Atkinson is a better coach than JB Bickerstaff. It's just, there's nothing against JB. I think JB is going to do a good job in Detroit. We'll talk about them in the next podcast. But I think that Kenny Atkinson is an upgrade. I think Evan Mobley is someone that you need to think about possibly for DPOY at 30-1. Especially if they move Jared Allen, I'd slice it to 20-1 immediately. Because I think he's an excellent rim protector, and I think he will rebound the ball better if Jared wasn't there. Just go look at Game 5 versus Boston. I think it was Game 4, I should say, versus Boston, where he was absolutely fantastic. So I would be looking squarely at 30-1 Jared Allen. As regards to Spider Mitchell, I am so happy that Spider stayed. He's got a home. Everybody knows that Spider wanted to go to New York. Once Brunson became Brun's him, that was gone. And I know his dad works for the Mets. Ain't no way in hell he was going to Brooklyn. So he did the best thing. And that's stay in Cleveland and build a legacy. I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell fan. I just don't like the Donovan Mitchell backcourt with Darius Garland because they're two small guards. When you look at his odds to win MVP, can I see a situation where he wins MVP at 100-1? I don't see it. I can't ask you to make that play. I think they're going to be improved. I think they're going to win 50 games. I think they can make a run in the playoffs. But in regards to him winning a title or being an MVP, I don't see it. But I will take him at plus 210 to win the Central Division because I'm just never going to bet on Doc Rivers. This has been your Betting Above the Rim podcast for August 27th. For all things sports gambling, please go download that SportsGrid app, pregame, endgame, postgame, props, predictions, and more from the very best in the sports gambling industry. Next podcast, we're going to do podcasts, folks, only once a week until we get to sometime in October when we start the NBA season. For my producer, Matty George, Vinny did a great job with the graphics. We'll do some more previews and talk a little bit more WNBA. Remember, it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Good night.